Now get going!
101 Dalmatians is the most modern Disney animated movie ever made. The one that has the most guts, that says this is art, but it's entertainment at the same time.
101 Dalmatians was a huge influence on me. I liked the look of it, I liked the story, I liked the characters. There was something just very kind of fresh and novel.
What's he going to do, Dad?
Let's just wait and see, huh?
One thing that sets the movie apart from a lot of movies in the Disney canon is it's a contemporary story made to play in that time period.
And the cool thing about it is that it's contemporary to this day. It's contemporary in a classical way.
101 Dalmatians was the first Disney animated film that was more than just fantasy. It was a mystery, there was suspense, you were worried about whether these characters were going to come through.
I'll skin every one of them little spotted irons if it's the last thing I do.
Also, we had the new technology. The Xerox process was going to replace the old ink and paint. So that was exciting.
So you see in 101 Dalmatians very mature animators doing probably some of the best work of their lives. And yet you see Walt Disney almost mourning the fact that he has to let go of this beautiful romantic style that he loved in favor of a simpler style that's representative of mid-20th century art.
It's not your usual children's book illustration come to life. It's Picasso coming into Disney.
Still, our hearts are touched, and I'm very, very lucky that I was part of something so wonderful.
Dodie Smith published her story, The 101 Dalmatians, in 1956. The story was inspired by the fact that she herself had Dalmatian dogs, the first of which was called Pongo, and a friend of hers quite casually, and not maliciously as Cruella de Vil might have said, that, yes, those dogs would make rather a good coat. And the story immediately caught Walt Disney's imagination.
This was a time of great growth at the studio, and Walt Disney was so involved in other things, he had television, the theme parks, that animation got a little less of Walt's time. And so he put into effect this idea of taking a very strong story guy, Bill Peet, and basically having him leading this feature film.
Now, Bill Peet came to Disney in 1937. Jobs were scarce, and he heard that Disney was looking for artists, so he came and he started working as an in-betweener.
Which meant you were way down the line. You assist with the final drawings of the characters.
It was the grunt work, it was the bottom rung of the ladder. It really frustrated him to no end. But Bill was really driven and knew he wanted to be a story person. And when he got his chances, like on Dumbo, some amazing scenes in Dumbo when the little elephant's getting a bath and his mother is bathing him. It was beautifully drawn, no dialogue, beautifully laid out by Bill Peet. And then later, his work is seen in pretty much every Disney movie. And he became this very senior story person.
A lot of people don't even know what storymen are because the work that they do is never seen on the screen. But before any animation is done, it's all storyboarded. It's kind of like a comic strip, which tell the story sequentially from cut to cut.
When we did movies like Lion King or Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, we had 15 people on the story crew. Bill Peet did it by himself.
I had a chance to go to the archives and look at his story sketches and compare them one after the other. And you follow these sketches and you go, well, this is impossible. They didn't change a thing. This is exactly the way Bill Peet had envisioned it.
He missed him. Oh, Thunder's pretending. I think.
Bill Peet was a master storyteller, and he structured this story to make it a story that is so focused, so controlled, so centered on these two dogs and their quest to get their puppies back, that you follow the story with an effortlessness. And I think they tightened it in a way that really works. So much so, in fact, that Dodie Smith wrote to Bill Peet and said that he had, in fact, improved on her book, which is quite a compliment when you think about it.
And he was able to put flesh on the bones of what was in that children's book and create the characters that we know today.
And the way the characters interact in it have a very Bill Peet sort of touch, kind of modern sensibility to it.
It's one of the things that makes that movie very unique is how contemporary it was.
That was the first time where here's a married couple that clearly is physical toward each other, and there's a flirtation going on when, he's pulling her around and going, Cruella, Cruella de Vil. I love that.
These are characters we hadn't seen in a Disney film before. Cruella de Vil smokes cigarettes. The dogs watch television.
It was something very of the moment. And I think that was a great departure, not only story-wise, but stylistically for Walt.
I mean, we were all very excited about it, and mainly because it was so different. You know, it was so different from what had been done at Disney before. It really broke new ground for Disney's animation department.
101 Dalmatians was groundbreaking. It's really the first Disney animated feature that isn't really a musical in any way.
It's interesting that that Dalmatians has so few songs in it. It's a real break with what had just come at the Disney studio.
And it's ironic because Roger's vocation is songwriter. You'd think that would be an excuse to have a lot of great Disney songs. It just shows you how Walt Disney was never any kind of a slave to any formula, even if it worked well before.
The songs in 101 Dalmatians, they were written by Mel Levin. And though the song Cruella de Vil is the most memorable song from the movie, Mel Levin actually wrote a song prior to this one for Cruella.
Now every night I almost go insane. I hear those witches chanting in my brain. Cruel, cruel, Cruella, devil, devil, de Vil. Cruel, cruel, Cruella, devil, devil, de Vil.
But driving to work one day, Mel thought, you know, a blues tempo would really fit that character. So he came up with that melody line, so he replaced his prior song himself.
You come to realize you've seen her kind of eyes watching you from underneath a rock.
The last song was Dalmatian Plantation, was exchanged because Bill Peet wanted a different version of it.
Bill Peet wanted to end the movie with a song that emphasized rhymes, and so he asked Mel to replace the song he had written.
With all of our remuneration, our station seems truly sublime. At my occupation, I'll find inspiration
with no obligation to time.
So Dalmatian Plantation number 1 was replaced by Dalmatian Plantation number 2.
Dalmatian Plantation.
Mel wrote Canine Crunchies as an absolute spoof of current commercials on television, taking it as far as he could to its silliness.
You can be a champion too if you eat Canine Crunchies.
But there are not so many songs in 101 Dalmatians, but there is a lot of musical feeling in the film. And George Bruns's score is very much a soundscape to which the film plays.
He really deserves great respect. He tells the story with his music, starting with the opening credits. When it says 101 Dalmatians, his score goes... And of course, later in the movie, when Cruella shows up and starts to notice that all the Labradors in the scene might be Dalmatians, he writes this incredibly suspenseful cue that echoes the water drops coming off of the roof.
It was the first time Disney actually did a feature that was not set in the world of classic or fairy tale. So it's a contemporary score because it's a contemporary film.
It wasn't the traditional orchestral score. It was a more jazzy thing. It was really clicking into the current sensibilities in many different ways, which is quite different for a Disney film.